Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing an Amazon unboxing of the Power Sport brake kit. So this comes with the front and rear rotors as well as ceramic pads, and the rotors are cross drilled and slotted. So we're going to check out this kit that you could get for this one's going to be for 2006 Mazda 3. So we're going to go ahead and open this up and see what we got. We're going to do a unboxing, product review as far as how it was delivered, how it was packaged, and then how it went when it came to the installation of it. And then in the future probably have a follow-up with a long-term review of these brakes as well. So let's go ahead and get this open. Now, to mention, this kit can be ordered in either black or silver colored rotors. Today we'll be unboxing the silver rotors. So let's go ahead and get this thing opened up and see what we got. So we're going to jump right into it, check this product out, and we're going to get this thing unboxed here. So I think I'm going to move you guys to the head cam so I could have both hands, and we'll get this opened up. Alright, so I got you guys on the head cam, and we'll go ahead and do this unboxing and see what we got here. Alright, so it looks like it's packaged well. The last one we got was also packaged well, so there's no complaints there so far. We got the Dot 3 brake fluid, some bubble wrap. So it's a synthetic Dot 3 brake fluid, so yeah, it does take Dot 3, so that's nice to have. We're not going to be doing a flush today of the brake fluid, but it's good if we need to top it off. We shouldn't need it though. We got the Power Sport brake pads, so these are the ceramics. All right, let's take a look. Well, let's just lay everything out first before I open it up. And these look like they would probably be the front pads because they're in the bigger box. I would imagine those are front, these are the rears. So we got that there. And then we have our 4 rotors. These will probably be the back, again, because they're smaller. Part number, irrelevant because this comes as a kit. Alright. So, another rear rotor here. And then real simple front rotors. And another front rotor. All right. So we got some hardware kit here. It looks like front and rear hardware kit. Hopefully these things are right. So I can't recall last time I looked if it had these clips, these little spring clips. I think it did, so I think these are the right brakes. So we'll go ahead and get these put on. Alright, so we have front rotors, rear pads, front pads, and some brake fluid and hardware kits, front and rear. So we're going to go ahead and open these up the rest of the way, see what the rotors look like. I'll start there, because we'll know right off the bat if they're black, we didn't get what we wanted, because that's what happened last time. So they're silver, so that's a good start. Take a look at it here. Just a silver finish. It's again has a cross drilled and slotted. That's for distribution of the heat as you're applying the brakes under hard braking situations and just general driving. It's supposed to dissipate heat faster. So I mean, obviously these are probably made in China more than likely, so I don't know what the composition of the metal is. I mean, because that plays a factor in heat distribution as well. These are not aluminum, obviously not ceramic or carbon fiber or anything fancy like that. They're just a steel milled rotor. Looks like they have a nice crosshatch on it. I don't know if that's picking up on camera. Maybe this camera here. However, no, it looks good. All right, so I like it. Good looking rotor. All right, let's take a look at one of the rears and then we'll open up the pads. Again, silver, good start. Once again, cross drilled, slotted. Here's our cross drills there, our slots, and the silver finish. Just regular steel. So, I don't know. They're cross hatched. So they got a nice cross hatch pattern. Hopefully that'll keep down on the brake noise as well as brake in and seat the pads, because it's important to brake in and seat the pads to the rotor surface, so that cross hatch helps with that too. All right, moving on to the pads. Take a look at the rears. Nice packaging, not bad. Nice little box, no big deal, but what's important is what's inside. So we gotta take a look at our rear brakes, make sure those pads are correct, make sure these rotors fit on the hub. That's what happened with the last ones. They didn't fit the hub and the pads are completely wrong. So I think these are the right ones this time because they have the clips. I think that's what I was missing last time, was the clips on the back of the brake pad, and they just didn't fit overall. So let's get these going. I'm going to go ahead and jack up the vehicle and put some jack stands under it and get these tires off. So we'll jump right to that. Alright, so today we're working on the Mazda 3 here. It's a 2006, like I said. I'm going to go ahead and do the front and the rear brakes as well. To use a big pry bar to essentially, or even a big screwdriver, but sometimes you risk breaking your screwdriver, but to force the piston back in while it's still attached to the rotor and the caliper assembly. You want to go slow, you don't want to blow any seals out, trying to jam it in too fast. But collapse it in there as far as possible before taking the caliper off. Now look at that. I even have the right size torque stick already on my ratchet. Do a angle here. I'm just gonna break that free. Could use a pneumatic, but or even electric, but we're just going to do a manual here. All right, so we're going to get these pins out so we can get this caliper off. So there's a clip here, so you can save a lot of money doing this stuff at home by yourself. So they're not that hard. Now here you want to typically have some eye protection on. These things could fly out, so you want to have a good handle on it before you pop them free. Alright, don't want it to fling up and hit you in the eye. So that'll make that bottom screw come out a little easier. Bottom bolt, I should say, or pin. Now I don't like to let these hang on the brake lines because the brake lines could be old and fragile, so it's not good to hang a caliper from its hose, the brake hose here. You're talking at minimum probably about 5 pounds, I would imagine. Hanging from this rubber line, that line could be 20, 30 years old and brittle, so you don't want to hang anything from it for risk of chance of damaging it further. But if you do see crack or brittle brake hoses, you got to address that right away. So I got these little hooks here I get from the swap meets. You know, let's see, like car shows, you can go to swap meets. They have standalone swap meets, that sort of thing. But they have these little metal S hooks. They're coming really handy for just hanging stuff around the garage, in your trailer, or in this case, hanging a caliper. So it's not on its own hose being supported, it's actually being supported from a hook. So there's no weight on this hose. So we'll go ahead and continue to take this apart. Yeah, the brakes were due. There was a little life left, but it's time to get them off here. Just a marginal amount left there. It's not worth keeping. We got new clips. We got new plugs even. So we should have all the things needed to do this brake job. And in any case, if we weren't doing rotors, we could just start reassembling it here with new parts, with the new pads. However, we have rotors today, so we're gonna have to keep going in and taking this brake caliper bracket off so we can slide the rotor off, because it's preventing us from taking the rotor off. So we're gonna grab what I think looks like a 17. All right, so we have our 17 here. When you get these broken free, let's see, yeah, it is a 17. Yeah, you usually need a breaker bar on these. So, I mean breaker bar, I mean a big long bar. Nice to unlock the steering wheel so you could actually turn your brake rotor assembly to give you better access to the bolts back here. There we go. Now we got the rotor off. We'll go ahead and replace it with the new one. I'll put them side by side. We'll do a fit up here real quick. So we got our new rotor here. I'm just gonna kind of do a quick size up against the old one. Make sure everything looks good. Same height. We're gonna put them, let's see, side by side. Check the depth from the hub to the surface of the rotor to make sure this distance here from the hub mount where the wheel mount to the first surface of the brake rotor is the same height. We're just going to lay them flat against each other here at an angle. I don't know if you can see that. Just to make sure that it's a ballpark measurement. It's nothing mathematical here. Just taking a look to see if they look similar. Alright, so we're going to slap these on. If they fit on the hub itself, then we're really in good shape. Alright, everything's looking good so far, so I think we'll be successful. So we're going to continue on here. By putting this back together, we're just going in the reverse order. I want to note that you typically want to spray this down with a non-chlorinated brake cleaner in order to clean any residue from manufacturing off that could cause problems down the road like brake noise. Let's see. So make sure you spray down the rotor with brake cleaner and wipe it off with a rag to remove any residual from manufacturing. of the brake rotor itself are oils that they may have put on to keep it from rusting while being on the shelf. So you want to clean that stuff off because it could potentially cause brake noise down the road. So let me tighten this up. We'll keep going. I want to try to get this done today so we could do a test drive. So I'm not doing any kind of torque here. I just snug them up. These caliper brackets, you're not really going to over torque them with any hand tools in my mind, unless you got a gigantic breaker bar. You're going to be just fine as long as you torque them down good. Don't want to put them on loose. Alright. So now we're going to grab our pads, put our pads in here, put our clips on, and then hang our caliper back on the caliper bracket and put this wheel back on. We'll be done on this side. Alright, so we're going to put these on here. Just going to take one. Actually, I want to test fit it here real quick. That looks good. Alright. Okay, so we're going to put these in. There's these clips here that go inside the cup of the caliper piston or the brake piston. So these clips will actually sit inside the bore of or the cup of this brake piston. So we'll just kind of wedge it in there, push it till it clicks in place, and go ahead and move your pins or your bolts, your caliper bolts back out of the way, so that way when you reassemble it, they're not going to hang you up. All right, so now we're going to get this other pad put in, but we're going to need the clip in the hardware kit. So as you can see, we got our clips to replace the old ones. Old ones here, the new ones. So we'll throw the old ones away. And then we also got some new plugs. Although sometimes these plugs aren't that great, so I may keep the originals when it comes to the plugs. That just keeps dirt and debris from getting into your caliper bolts and clogging things up. It's not critical. So let's go ahead, put this assembly together. This will be a little harder. This clip here is always a little harder to get in. Let's see. I think actually I'm going to put this one in after. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and lube these up next. So we're going to grease up our caliper bracket here where the pads slide. Take care not to get it on the rotor surface itself. Just put in a little bit here to help lubricate the pad where it slides on the bracket itself. And a little bit on the tabs on the pad too doesn't help, or doesn't hurt. A little bit on each tab. Keep it from binding up. You know, just a little extra measure. Yeah, don't go crazy with that. You don't want grease going all over the place. Alright, so we'll put this back together. It should slide right on. Alright, we can even get started with our bolts here. And bolt the caliper back to its bracket. Might have to wiggle it and lift it and wiggle it till it lines up, but essentially always start it by hand. You don't want to start these things with power tools. End up stripping something out. And in this case, we're just going to use manual tools the whole day. It'll be a little slower, but this is a typical scenario in most garages. Do it yourself wise. You're going to be using hand tools, so we'll just stick with the hand tools today. Run both of them down and then we'll snug it up. Let's turn this so we have more room. Snug those up. Don't over tighten these though, because you can't strip these. Alright, that side's done. Don't forget your clip. So we're going to go ahead and put these anti-rattle clips. That's what I like to call them, an anti-rattle clip. So you put them in the hole here, 2 little holes here on the caliper. You poke them into this side, wedges against the caliper bracket. You're going to put the second side. These are a little hard to get onto. And then you're going to have to typically pry it to get it around. But it's not the easiest sometimes. There we go. Alright, just make sure they're pushed in there, and then again, I like to say you may want to use eye protection, because these things are springy, and if they pop out of there, you want to pop yourself in the eye with one. Alright, so this side's done. We'll go ahead and put the tire back on. I forgot my plugs, so we'll go ahead and throw those plugs back in before we put this tire on. So those plugs are just simply plugging your caliper bolt so it doesn't get road debris in there. Again, not super critical, but we'll just put it back to its OEM state, which is original manufacturer equipment. Alright, so we're going to run these down with the gun and come back and torque them later. We'll torque them when it's on the ground. Alright, so that's that one. Now there's 3 more to do. We'll go ahead and do the other side, do the rear, time lapse the thing. Alright, so these rear brakes are going to be very similar to the front brakes. We're going to start by obviously removing the tire. So the backs are going to be a little different. These clips though, however, come off in the same fashion. We just pry them out. And again, we got replacement clips, but always keep a hold of them so they don't pop off and hit you in the eye. They're quite springy. And we're going to remove these caps here that protect the caliper bolt. Just kind of pull them out with your fingers. And this should be the same size here for the caliper bolt. So I'm going to break those free. should be able to pry these pads off. Yeah, so these you have to actually rotate. Let me show you. Let's see if we can get an angle on this. So you see how there's these two little tabs here, here and here. There's a special tool that rotates this cup and pushes this piston in while rotating at the same time. So that's a specialty tool. You can either rent one or a whole kit. Excuse me, it's a kit because there's several different styles. And you could rent it from your auto parts store. So let me get the camera set back up here. We'll continue on. I gotta grab my tool. Hopefully I can find my kit fast enough and we'll get back onto this, collapsing this piston. So I believe this is my kit here. Let's take a look. So yeah, this is what a kit would look like here. Let's get a picture of that. So essentially this part pushes and rotates at the same time as you're turning it with the wrench, and then use whatever size adapter you would need to fit your piston. So you see the little tabs there, here and here on all of these. This one has a single tab, but for different size pistons that you may need to rotate back into its caliper assembly. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to find the one that fits here. So we're going to rotate and push at the same time. This tends to be a slow process. Car's back down on the ground now. We're going to go ahead and torque these lug nuts, and so I'm going to put you guys on the head cam so you could follow along while we get these things torqued up. We're going to torque them to 90 foot-pounds. Again, we're going to torque them in a star pattern. So again, we're doing it in a star pattern. And we're torquing to 90 foot-pounds. And I like to do 2 passes. Alright, we'll get the front here, same thing. 90 foot-pounds, star pattern, 2 passes. So far, everything looks good. Product looks good. It was packaged very well. Came on time. No issues. Alright, but before we go on this test drive, let's take a look at the brakes here. We'll do a couple shots so you can see what they look like while they're still clean and shiny before we use them. And they start getting discolored from heat and friction. So we'll take a look at them now. Maybe shoot some B-roll. It's nothing fancy, just some shots to capture what they look like on a vehicle. So they look good. Yeah, the back's done here. The new pads, the new rotors. Again, the rotors are cross drilled and slotted. You can see the slots here and the drills. Looks fancy. Looks like it's race ready, but really it's not about how it looks. It's about how it functions. So that's when we take it for the test drive and see how it actually functions. And these are the fronts here. Again, cross drilled and slotted. Looking pretty fancy. We'll see how it drives. All right. So we'll get just some B-roll shots here. See if we could get some. Angles here. All right, so that ends this video. It drove well, no pulsations, good brake pedal, no squeaks, no rattles. Everything's going well. I think we're done here. We'll do follow up in the future, a long-term review of this one. These were the Amazon Power Stop brake kit. Came with front and rear rotors, cross drilled and slotted, along with ceramic pads on all 4 corners. So everything's installed and running just fine, and we're gonna call this one done. And as always, if you like what you saw, hit the like button, and remember, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to be notified of my next episode. I release new content every Monday, and sometimes I drop one throughout the week as a bonus. So go ahead and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified of my next episodes. And until next time, stay good, family.